such a brief...
Pricing is over, but at Phil Long Ford in Motor City, American value still means something. Colorado's best season, Phil Long's biggest discounts of the year, 0% financing, no payments for 90 days, and I'll throw $1,000 towards your down payment. Plus, get a complimentary 2-year premium maintenance plan.
That's the Phil Long way.
We'll beat any deal by $750, and we'll prove it only at the original Ford store in Motor City.
Good morning, my friends. It is Monday. It is August 10th. This is Peaks to Plains weather. This is Mornings with Meister, and I am Matt Meister. Thanks for starting your day with us here. We sure do appreciate it. And what was a hot weekend and a gusty weekend, if you were under some of those storms that were out there. A lot of you saying good morning here this morning. Clinton is checking in from Chaffee County. Clinton, good morning to you. Thanks for starting your day with us, my friend. I sure do appreciate it. Let's jump into what we had over the weekend. Set records yesterday in Alamosa, Pueblo, and Colorado Springs. Pueblo was an old one from 1962. Colorado Springs was from 5 years ago, but obviously that was one of the issues over the weekend. The big story this week is later this week, particularly as we look at Thursday through the weekend. We're going to have some heavy rain producing storms around here. Now, each model run is kind of bouncing around a little bit with different areas, but I think a widespread 1 to 3 inches of rain is on the way, with thunderstorms that are going to be widespread once we hit Thursday in particular, and are going to have heavy rain each day. So some places might even get more than 3 inches. So later on this week, there's flash flood potential that we're concerned about for sure, certainly for the Aspen Acres fire or the other ongoing fires and recent burns in the area. But I think it's a situation too where even in the cities and the rest of the region, whether it's over the mountains or across the eastern plains, if it's a spot where you have a hard time moving water when it comes down fast, or even if you end up with heavy rain one day, I think that elevates your flash flood risks for later in that stretch here. So we'll have to keep an eye on that later this week. We need the water for sure, but it is going to come with some impacts. Outdoor activities are going to be impacted with storms later on this week, and they might even be the next couple of days as well. Let's jump outside here early this morning. On this Monday, we will begin with our view from Kissing Camels, looking toward Garden of the Gods and toward Pikes Peak with a clear sky overhead from that view. And a lot of us are waking up to a clear sky this morning. It is 67 degrees there. We've still got some smoke around. And you've noticed the haze the last couple of days, and we're going to see that again today, but we start to change things up a little bit. And I'll talk about that as we transition to our extended forecast. Not much in the way of wind out there this morning. We have some spots that are running around 70 on the high end of things, the Springs, Canyon City, southeastern corner of the state. Otherwise, lots of 50s and 60s out there, regardless of where you are. And it's a pretty comfortable start to the day. First view, in Cheyenne County, we've had some real gusty wind the last couple of days. Some gusts between 60 and 70 miles per hour. And we'll talk about that because we may see a couple more gusts somewhere across the area that are that strong today. We had some damage reports along Highway 40 in Cheyenne County the last couple of days. Trinidad's running 70, one of the warmer spots this morning. Pueblo, good morning in the Steel City. Pueblo West, thanks for starting your day off with us. Canyon running 72 here. A little bit of a light easterly breeze coming out of eastern Fremont County this morning. Salida, we're sitting at 61. So it's a real good start to the day. If you're traveling up to Denver, moving through Monument, Castle Rock, you are not going to have any issues out there as we start the day. However, if you have activities outside later on today, like what we had over the weekend, there might be a couple of issues as we kind of hit the afternoon hours because we're going to see some gusty storms. As we jump into the short-term forecast here, I think you'll welcome those. Because after our record highs on Sunday, what the gusty wind with the storms have done the last few days is bring a quick 15 to 20 degree temperature drop. And obviously, with temperatures not too far of these numbers today, you'll welcome those. You can see here during the afternoon on Sunday, a couple storms here and there, not much rain with them. But the strongest couple of cells that we had did produce some gusty wind. Now, that's because of what's happening here on the large-scale pattern. Watch Arizona and New Mexico. See how the wind is moving, at least at the steering flow, from east to west? There is more monsoon moisture out here, but we haven't really set up the good tap out of the south yet. Over the next couple of days, what we'll do is increase the moisture in the mid-levels of the atmosphere, and particularly as we head into tomorrow, we really start to get the southerly flow going. What that's going to do is start to clean up the smoke around here. It wasn't as bad over the weekend as we had a couple days last week, obviously, but we're going to start to keep the most significant smoke up to our north, and that's because we get this southerly flow that starts curling mid-level moisture into Colorado. And so what it means as we hit the next couple of afternoons is that the strongest cells will have a little more oomph to them than we had over the weekend. And so there's a better chance of getting a burst of rain, both over the mountains and the eastern plains. But in particular, when you get east of the Rockies and there's more atmosphere for the rain to fall through, we're still going to have evaporation. That's still going to produce some strong downburst type wind. So a couple of these storms, and it's hard to pinpoint where these would be, my friends, could put down some gusts between 50 and 70 miles per hour. We hit the early to mid-afternoon. We're kind of watching the mountains today. We're watching the Pikes Peak region. We're watching the Palmer Divide. And then with that flow on the north side of the area of high pressure that's drifting off to the southeast across New Mexico, we will see the chance of some storms over the plains. Notice, though, if you were paying attention over the weekend, you notice that SkyCast had like the blues and the greens, kind of on the lower end of my color scale. But we're seeing some yellows and some reds now, and that's because we have a little bit more water to work with in the mid-levels. So, somebody could pick up a quick 1/10 of an inch of rain. As we move into the evening, we kind of see some outflow boundaries cruising around. That'll knock the temperatures down. We'll have a couple of lingering cells, maybe a little bit longer into the evening than we had over the weekend. So it's possible that we get a severe thunderstorm warning or two today, like we've had the last couple of days. If you get them, it's not for hail. It's not because there's flash flooding. It's for gusty wind. Just know that, okay? So if you have your Peaks to Plains weather app, your location turned on, we'll give you a digital shoulder tap, let you know about that. Otherwise, some gusts between 30 and 50 miles per hour, certainly possible with some of the stronger storms that are out there the next couple of days. And here's kind of a look at why we will have still some evaporation on the way down to the ground. Our humidity this afternoon is only going to be in the teens and 20s. It's a little bit higher than it was over the weekend, but it's still not great. So a little bit better chance of some rain. And some of these gusts might bring some damage. I mean, we certainly had that over the weekend. In fact, in Cheyenne County, for a couple days in a row, we had some damage from some of these. In Cheyenne Wells in particular, we had some damage to a transmission power line pole yesterday. On Saturday, we had a little bit of damage to a little storage center out in that area. And some of these gusts were really, really strong. First few, like I said, some 70-mile-an-hour gusts. We had a 70-mile-an-hour gust to the north of Walsenburg yesterday as well. So not everybody's going to get those, but it's a possibility. Still hot today. We won't be as hot in Colorado Springs. We're going to miss the record by a little bit. In Pueblo, the record's 101 today. It's one of the lower ones for the early part of August, and I think we take that out today. We shave a degree or two in a lot of areas compared to what we had yesterday. Still hot enough. There's a heat advisory. So for the high school football teams that have practice out there today, flag football teams, the bands that are out doing stuff, if you're going to do a run or bike ride, something like that, after today in the afternoon, just be aware the heat's an issue. Make sure you drink lots of water, take breaks if you need to, all of that stuff. And then tomorrow, still hot east of the mountains, but notice no 90s in my forecast over the mountain valley areas. That's because we keep increasing the mid-level moisture a little bit over the mountains. So again on Tuesday, yes, some gusty wind from some of these storms, but a higher likelihood of getting some bursts of rain with them. Rain amounts still not, not too high. Over the mountains would be under a quarter of an inch. I think anything east of the mountains would be under a 1/10 of an inch if you happen to get some rain. Gusty wind still a possibility. The coverage a little bit better tomorrow. And that's because crew, we're changing things up here a little bit. Then we get to Wednesday. And what I want to point out on this map is we're even cooler over the mountain valleys. We've got more water coming over the mountains. Heavy rain starts to become a possibility over the Rockies. And in northeast Colorado, Denver gets out of the mid and upper 90s. A cold front starts to move in from the north. Depending how fast it gets here, we may have some heavy rain potential late on Wednesday or Wednesday evening over the Palmer Divide and in the Pikes Peak region. But it's really right behind that front arriving Thursday through the weekend, when we've got heavy rain on the way, not only over the peaks, but over the plains as well. And we'll talk about that in our extended forecast. Cheryl says this is the best forecast. Cheryl, thanks for being kind. I appreciate it. Debbie says, hi, Matt. Hi, Debbie. Good to see you. Cass checking in with good Monday morning. And everybody else checking in as well. Julie says it's a happy Monday. Yeah, that's kind of a decision we get to make, right? Make it a happy Monday out there. I'm going to take a short break. We will talk about the extended forecast when we come back, because flash flooding, certainly an issue here later this week. This is Mornings with Meister. You are on Peaks to Plains Weather. Love your yard with a new outdoor space from F&B Landscaping. From a new build to a new project in an existing yard, we listen and give you the yard you want within your budget. Lawns, water features, xeriscaping. We've got the artistic touch and technical know-how to bring the peak of Colorado outdoor living to your home. Reliable, trustworthy. Visit fblandscapes.com to schedule a free consultation today.
Inspiring, innovating. For 100 years, Cheyenne Mountain Zoo has been here, connecting people to wildlife, to nature, to each other, creating a lifetime of unforgettable experiences. Our guests are still smiling. Our focus is on what's still to come. 100 years later, we're the best we've ever been.
100 years!
Cheyenne Mountain Zoo, a mountain of memories.
Emergencies are unpredictable, but you don't have to be unprepared. Peak Alerts sends you targeted emergency alerts in real time for the places that matter to you most, so you know what's happening and what to do next. Know first, act fast. That's the power of Peak Alerts.
Another attorney commercial with big promises? Millions of dollars, practicing law 24 hours a day, blah, blah, blah. Let's get rid of the smoke and mirrors. None of that really matters. What does matter? Having a medical doctor as your attorney. That matters.
Alrighty, crew, what you need to know about the extended forecast is really if you have outdoor plans later this week or this weekend, they're going to be impacted by weather. The next couple of days, we're establishing the monsoon here. So it's kind of a repeat of what we had over the weekend, where if you get under a storm or around a storm, some gusty wind, but rain becomes a little bit more likely, like we talked about, and you can see the monsoon establishing here. By the middle part of the week, we get the high down here, so we've really got the southerly flow going, and that's one of two pieces of our extended forecast. The other one is this upper level system moving across the Great Lakes. Even though that's far away, that sends a cold front into eastern Colorado. And what that is going to do is allow these two areas of moisture to come together overhead. One being the monsoon off to the southwest. We're looking at the dew point here. And then the mid-level moisture and then surface moisture that we have over the plains. It's a result of all the corn evapotranspiring water back into the atmosphere at night and from the Gulf. Now, Tuesday afternoon, yes, some of the storms could put down some rain, but we're still pretty dry at the surface, and that's why we're still talking the gusty wind here. But then as we get the front to come in from the east, and that again happens at some point on Wednesday, so watch as we move into Wednesday, the surface dew points start to come up across northeastern Colorado. We're also thickening up the moisture at the surface from the monsoon. So here comes the front, the monsoon starting to arrive in a thicker fashion over the mountain areas. Again, how quick the front comes in on Wednesday will determine the likelihood of heavy rain for the Pikes Peak region up across the Palmer Divide, so Castle Rock, Elizabeth, Kiowa, out toward Lyman along Interstate 70. If we don't get heavy rain Wednesday, we will on Thursday. And that's because behind the front, we increase the low-level moisture. We've still got good water coming up from the south with the monsoon, and this trend doesn't really change through the end of the week. So the storms will have a lot of water to work with. They will be efficient rain producers, and that's why I'm talking about the threat of some flash flooding and some heavy rain. So afternoons and evenings are going to be impacted, and we might even see some lingering showers into the early morning. So here's a look at Thursday, and we have that combination happening here over Colorado into the tri-state area, up across Wyoming and Nebraska as well. So you can see the monsoon tap well established because the high is off to our southeast, and this thing's happening for multiple days in a row, and the front arriving is just the chef's kiss to kind of make us more likely to have heavy rain. And that trend will continue from Friday into the weekend. There's going to be details to figure out on a daily basis in here, but the pattern is the same. And so, we've been talking about it for about 2 weeks now, and it is still on track here for later on this week. And then even into the early part of next week, we've got some storms around, but we start to break things up a little bit, and we'll begin to get into a little bit more of a drier trend. So really it's perhaps Wednesday, but certainly Thursday through the weekend that we are watching for the impacts from all of this. Computer models definitely agree on this. The bright greens that you see here from these two things are showing an inch, and then some of the darker greens that you see there are more than an inch. Don't get hung up on the wheres of this yet. Just notice that, on a widespread scale, we've got this coming into southern Colorado, coming into the northeastern part of the state, coming into the mountain areas. We are going to have widespread heavy rain producing storms as we get these systems to kind of bring this water into the area. So I'll put some numbers on here from a model that I've been liking how it is doing. And run to run, it kind of ebbs and flows a little bit. Like as an example, it's a little bit lower for Pueblo and the southeastern plains here with this latest run than it has been for the last 5 or 6. I'm not going to get hung up on that at all. but we'll watch where the bullseyes are likely to be as we move through the next couple of days. And what happens one day will impact the next day, where outflow boundaries are hanging out and that sort of thing. So we'll have to take those small scale details as things get closer. But this pattern is a slam dunk, and I don't expect that to change here over the next couple of days. So our extended forecast in the mountains, today, tomorrow, into Wednesday, what happens is these isolated to widely scattered storms just become more likely to produce bursts of rain. But then we get that front to come in, and east of the Continental Divide, we're in business for heavy rain, and even the west of the Continental Divide later on this week, enough of the monsoon that the storms will be putting heavy rain down. You see, we're kind of eyeing that late week, start of the weekend in terms of the best coverage of storms, where you see the percent chances a little bit higher than other days. Over the mountains, we'll keep storms around in the forecast into next week, maybe up against the hills as well. But we do start to see a little bit of drying, and so there'll be a less coverage of storms. Colorado Springs, behind the front Thursday into Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I'm up above 70% most days. And then we knock the chances down a little bit as we head into next week. The other thing that's going to happen is we are going to get cool. We'll get rid of the heat with the clouds around, the water in the air, behind the front. A couple days here later this week where we're actually going to be below average. We're going to have to keep an eye on the ongoing fires, the burn areas, for the potential for flash flooding. Even in the urban areas, those typical neighborhood spots that we just don't move water as well as other locations will be an area that we have to watch. And over the plains or the mountains, if we have spots where the soils get saturated, we'll have to watch that as well. But you can trace out with your eye that curve on the west side of the high of where the monsoon is going to be. And then again, the moisture from the front just adding like some upslope up against the eastern slopes of the Rockies later on this week. So we're in business here, my friends. This is what you should do. A couple things I want to talk about. If you haven't downloaded the Peaks to Plains weather app yet, please do it. We'll give you digital shoulder taps when there's flash flood warnings, even the next couple days with where the severe thunderstorm warnings are. When we're doing live coverage, we let you know about that as well. Tell your friends about Peaks to Plains weather. Tell them they can watch us on Roku, on Fire TV to watch the 24-hour channel. Tell them about the app. Tell them about the website. Tell them about YouTube, how we're on there as well. And then get ready for everything. Peaks to Plains weather is our weather together. When we're doing live coverage, if you're in a safe place but you see something, I invite you to come on the show and give a report. You can do so by putting one of these two links into a web browser on your phone or your tablet. You can even do it from a desktop computer inside your house. Put one of these links into your phone as a contact for Peaks to Plains weather so that you don't have to remember it. So if you see like a flash flood happening and you're not in it, you're safe. You can just touch the URL, give your camera, your microphone permission, and then you can join us here on our coverage. I would appreciate that very, very much. All right. Isaac's going to be playing a concert in Green Mountain Falls. Don't know where he's going to do that, but they'll play for dry till we're done. I'm not sure what that means. Maybe they play through the rain, or maybe till it's not dry and they get rained out. I don't know, but have fun with that. Isaac, Gina says the Sammy Hagar concert, we're going to need the rain gear. Yes, I am supposed to go to Zach Bryan with my kids and my wife on Friday. It's going to be a wet one. Got to do what you can, right? Could be some lightning delays as well. You just gotta go through it. Christy's saying the same thing about a couple different events that she's got going. So Savannah Bananas, Sammy Hagar, yes, going to be impacted. David saying, I hope we get more than a half inch of rain. We could use 5 inches, not at once, but spread out over a couple days would be nice. So dry. The first time he's had a crack in the dirt in his lot. He's never seen that before. Yeah, it's really, really dry out there. We need this water. Our drought is significant. It is deep. In fact, let me show you the latest drought monitor across Colorado, and you can see the situation that we are in here. Denver is in significant drought. We've seen significant drought develop over the Palmer Divide. This is the newest drought monitor that came out late last week. Notice up against the mountains and over the mountains of Colorado, I mean, we are in the deepest stages of drought. Parts of the plains to the north of the Arkansas River, we've got that as well. And there's some feast or famine areas. You know, I-70 out east and north of there have had multiple rounds of significant rain this summer. And it's been heavy enough that we're not even in abnormally dry conditions across Highway 36 off to the north of Interstate 70 there. So, you know, typical Colorado fashion, it is feast or famine. That's it for me this morning, my friends. I want to end with one more thing. We are going to start talking about this quite a bit here on Peaks to Plains Weather. This is our first weather camera, and it is our view from Kissing Camels. And we are going to be building out a network of cameras here over the next couple of months, kind of a 6-month project for us. We have found some inexpensive but really effective weather cameras that we are going to build a network out with. If you are maybe on the city council or the town board in a small community, emergency managers, if you own a business or a nonprofit, my model is going to be you pay for the equipment under $500 and then host the camera. There is a streaming service that we have to put it to so we can get it to all the different places we need to go. And for $500 a year, so a one-time $500, under $500 investment, could be as low as $200, depending on what the situation is at your place. And then $500 a year, whether it's on your home, whether it's on City Hall, a school, whatever, we want you to be part of our view in Southern Colorado. So be on the lookouts for that here over the next week or so. We'll start releasing that information, how you can get in contact with us, but we'd love to talk to you about that. You can send us a note on social media, find our email on peakstoplainsweather.com, and we'd love to talk to you about that. We want eyeballs everywhere. I want hundreds of these cameras all across the region. So we're really excited about that. We've got some cameras that are going to come online here this week. I'm hoping to have 5 or 6 really soon, and that's just the beginning, crew, because like everything we're doing here on Peaks to Plains Weather, we're just doing it better. Have a great Monday. Thanks for starting your day with me. It is 6:56 now. I appreciate you being part of Peaks to Plains Weather. Tell your friends about it, because it's going to be a busy week of weather. Have a good day.
Hey Peaks to Plains viewers, this is John over here at Petrale Roofing. It's hail season here in Colorado, and you might think that your roof doesn't have hail damage, but think again. Hail damage is hard to spot from the ground. That's why Petrale Roofing does free 21-point inspections. Give us a call today. We'll come out and take a look. And if we do find hail damage and your roof qualifies for a re-roof, you'll get $250 off if you choose us to do that installation. So give us a call today, 719-375-8773. Have us come out and take a look today.